Lexi, I'll start with you first, because I feel like, everyone loves all the Meet the Queen. Like, everyone was giving, but everyone's been so enamored with like your like laid back aura in the Meet the Queens. Like, everyone is like, I want to know her life story. I want to get the biopic. I need the book. Everyone's like, I could just sit down and just have a good kiki with her. So like, I want to know, in this season 17, how would you describe how you were able to portray your authentic self and your drag persona by way of RuPaul's Drag Race?
I was able to do so because of my amazing cast of 13 sisters. They were the ones that kept me real and to my authentic true self every second of the way. I felt like no matter what, I was like being reminded of real people in my real life. And I kind of associated with them really quickly off. So it was really easy for me to open up and just kind of be like, I can kind of just be like, just have it.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And Suzie, for you, I remember you talked about in your Meet the Queens about how, the other girls should not underestimate you. It's giving some dark horse energy in that Meet the Queens vibe. So for you, I know you said for them to not underestimate you, but what are some things you think that you surprised yourself about on Drag Race? Like, I would imagine, like, I feel like sometimes if certain queens are, let's say, like one sort of aesthetic, sometimes it feels like the show may, or themselves, they may get trapped into that. How do you think you kind of surprised yourself for what you thought this experience would be like?
Yeah, no, it's so true. There's definitely sort of an idea of what a theater queen is supposed to do on the show, a vintage queen or whatever. There's precedent. So I was aware of and anxious about falling into those traps and those sort of things. But the only thing that I was telling myself the entire time was, I know what I can do. I know the talent that I have. I know the career that I've built up to getting on Drag Race. And that speaks for itself. So it was hard, but I was conscious about putting away those preconceived ideas, because nobody's seen Suzie Toot.
Now they have to get to know who Suzie Toot is and not to compare her with anyone else. Exactly. And Lydia, for you, or Lydia B. Kollins.
Yes, ma'am.
Big B.
I think I read online that this is the first season where there's many queens that were born either 2000 or after. So I think there's so many queens that Lexi is like, that's how I feel.
Sorry, Lexi.
That's how I feel.
Our subject, baby. Okay. And we sure want me in this room? No.
Screamy. But there's seems like this a little bit of a youthful essence, but also I think so many queens that probably kind of grew up with the show being on. I mean, I didn't have that luxury, I wish I was one of the 2000s, but I think a lot of queens have had that experience this season. For you, what do you think? Do you have a moment from Drag Race, which was like that linchpin moment where you're like, okay, this is kind of what I want to do? And do you think that moment kind of had any sort of inspiration for you and how you present yourself and your trajectory on the season?
I saw season 7, Violet Chachki, polar opposite of what I do, but I saw her on Drag Race, her little reveal moment on the first episode. When I saw that, I was like, oh, she is nothing like me, and I have to get on this show. I just love Violet Chachki. It was Violet that made me want to pursue this.
And honestly, that moment, that's not only a big Drag Race moment, that's a big, fashion
pop culture moment.
That's a culture. I think that would probably be in my top 5 Drag Race moments compilation. But yeah, amazing. And then last question for all three of you. What is something that when you were on that stage, the first episode, and got your first critiques, or the first episode you were critiqued, what was it like just hearing RuPaul's feedback and just realizing you were on that stage in the moment and on Drag Race? We can go Lydia, Suzie, Lexi.
It is such a surreal feeling. You have no clue. It's like, everyone says it, but it's like seeing a celebrity, seeing the main stage in real life. The smell of it, it's like a mix of cedar and perfume and hairspray, and it like you get like lost in where you're at. It feels like you're on the screen. It's really crazy. It's surreal.
Yeah, it's funny because you think you know what to expect and you're preparing for the show and you're getting ready and you're like preparing for what it's going to feel like. But every season is different, and our season starts in a crazy way. And so it feels completely surreal. You're like already grappling with being on Drag Race, and you're like, not only am I on Drag Race, I'm on season 17 of Drag Race, which is fucking nuts. So it's hard to explain. It's hard to describe.
Oh, Lexi, what about you?
I honestly have no clue. I don't remember any of it at all. It's a blur. I am still like in shock, I think, from like the initial call. So I can't wait to watch it and be like,
yeah.
Gosh, wow.
You're like, when I watch it, that's gonna jog my memory, and I'm gonna remember where I was at that exact moment.
You know, there's people that are like hear something or smell something and be like, I feel like I'm at my grandma's house again. I'm really good at that type of thing. I'm old, honey. You know, I need something to help the memory. But it's so, like they said, surreal that I'm still like in heaven. It's still just like a blissful blur to me.
Amazing. Well, I love all these responses. I thank you three so much for chatting with me. Congrats in advance on this season. I cannot wait to see it, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trey.
Have a good one. Lana, I'll start off with you first. First of all, I remember seeing, gosh, probably like maybe like mid-pandemic, you on my Instagram like all the time, and I was just like, it's just crazy to see now that you're on Drag Race, and every year there's like this recurring joke that like how many New York queens are going to be on the season and how many of them are there. And you're the sole New York representative this season. And not only are you were the sole one, but you are, you're one of the faces of boxers, of course, like period. But what is it like for you to carry the mantle for New York this season? And, just being one of those queens who a lot of people may know from social media, but you get to like show a different side of you, a fuller side of you through the show.
I feel like going into the competition, I was praying there'd be more New York queens because there's always like 12 of us on the show. So walking in the workroom, or like when I realized all the queens were in the workroom, I gagged because I was the only one. And it's a lot of pressure because there's so many talented queens in New York City. And to like realize that I was the one chosen out of all the talented girls makes me feel like I have to really step up to the plate. And then also mixing in the online stress and pressure from like all the people that support me online, I was like under a lot of pressure because like I want to make everybody happy. I don't want to let anybody down, but I think everyone's going to be very happy. And yeah, that's all that matters.
Yes. I love that. And Sam, for you, first of all, there's so much Southern representation this season. I mean, like Alabama, Florida. I mean, I guess Kentucky is technically the South as well. I'm from North Carolina, so I love to see that. How do you think the drag environment in which you were brought up specifically in Alabama kind of helped cultivate the Sam that we are going to see on the show this season?
Well, first of all, yeehaw. I'm glad to be from North Carolina. We love
yeah.
I would say that the drag here in Alabama is definitely old school, pageantry based. We do love Southern inspiration, though. We love our cowboy hats and cowgirl boots. I like to say that I always wanted to be like a pretty cowgirl growing up, but I never could be. And now I decided to make myself one. And I made it all the way here talking to you. So I guess it was the right choice.
Yeah, amazing. And you're only a few weeks away from Drag Race. So, I mean, I guess everything you were supposed to be.
Yes, I mean, I trusted the universe, and thank God I did. I'm so grateful.
Yes, absolutely. And speaking of, talking about, Southern-ish influences, Acacia, I know you're based in LA, but are you also originally from LA as well? I mean, from California as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long story, but yes, I'm originally from the Bay Area, actually, but I
Thank
went to
you.
college in the Midwest in North Dakota, and I have a lot of family in the Midwest, and they're the ones who instilled like bluegrass roots into me. My mom's side of the family is also all from like the South. From the South, they all lived on farms in like North Carolina, and but then I've been to New York. I've like lived in New York. I lived here. I'm like the vagabond of drag.
Well, I was going to ask, why is it? Do you think it's important for you to have that country expression in your drag, especially during times in which it seems like, especially a lot of like politically and socially, sometimes that may conflict sometimes with drag, but it's important to know that there are, queer people who are country queer people from the South. So why is that important to you for your art?
I think it's so important because prior to Drag Race, the like 95% of the places I perform are all like country music venues. And all I perform for is country music people doing live music sets and everything. And those are people who are almost never exposed to drag. And I feel like a lot of times when I do these gigs, people come up to me like, this is like the first time I've ever seen a drag queen. Like they're not accepted in these places. And starting drag in North Dakota, I had a very like, I don't care if people attack me, if people hurt me, if people do anything. I'm going to be me because it's going to help things in the long run. I don't care if I'm a statistic. I don't care who I am, like what happens. And I think that has translated with my performance in the country music scene.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And Arrietty, for you, first of all, I am obsessed with your mug. Like I was just on Instagram for a while. I'm just like, it's always giving different. It's always giving like similar threads through your different mugs. And I'm just obsessed with it. And I wanted to ask, like, what are some of your drag influences since this is something kind of different that we haven't seen on the show? And have you ever thought the need to conform your drag aesthetic, not even the competition, but just in general, in order to be, I guess, quote unquote, successful?
Influences. I don't know. I've always been like attracted to like cool, edgy, and also like just very, what's the word? Just ethereal beings that is just like not your normal regular drag, which is honestly fun and I love it so much, but just not for me. It's just, I get bored very easily. So I'm like, I have to change it up every single time because I'm going to be bored. And if I'm bored, I'm sure someone's going to be bored.
Yeah.
And yeah, influences. Yeah, I just like to have fun. I just love to have fun. Everyone loves to have fun. Who doesn't have fun?
Everyone loves to have fun. That's why we're going to watch season 17 because
and tune in. What is the second question?
The second part was about did you ever feel the need to conform your drag aesthetic?
Yes and no, because I mean you have to perform for the masses, correct? So you have to be pretty, and I mean I can't go out like this. I mean I can, but it's not really acceptable if I go and like try to do what Kelly Clarkson. I probably, but so I had to conform a bit. So skin toned, same nose. I'm not gonna change that. I'm sorry, but hey.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. Congrats again on the launch of this season, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Can't wait to see more.
Thank you, Trey.
Bye. Jules, I'll start with you first. You spoke in the Meet the Queens about, first getting started off as an Instagram girl, and then when you first started doing drag, and then what you described as going through what seems to be an intense drag scene in Tampa with a lot of things going on. So what was it like being able to kind of like hone your drag aesthetically, but also the performance aspect in Tampa? How do you think that kind of brought you to Drag Race to be this competitive?
That's a great question. Actually, like I said, I was doing drag in my room for like 3 years, like coming up with what I wanted to look like in drag. And so when I started, like the first time I ever did a performance, I think most drag scenes, especially Tampa, are very competitive based for queens that are starting out. And my first performance, I was picking up tips, girl. I was walking around, running back and forth on the stage. There was like no performance really. I was just picking up tips. I didn't realize the girls were like parked up the ceiling, coming down, doing splits, cartwheels, dips, flips. I was like, oh shit, I have to get my shit together. So I came back, I started stretching, I started doing yoga. I started like trying to figure out how to get on their level. And because I already had the look kind of like a little more figured out, I think those two things together just, and the ambition to want to keep going got me here. And a little 3-year journey. So I'm really grateful for that, for sure.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And Crystal, I was so excited to see you on Drag Race now, because I was so familiar with you through Jasmine just Jasmine Kennedy's Instagram. Just saying, like, and I've always been like, I'm like, who is that queen right there? Like, I need to see more of her. So it's so great that you are on Drag Race. By you having a drag sister, so to speak, on a prior season, what did she give you sort of any advice in entering the competition? And also just being able to come from where you said in New Jersey, where you say like the people may not think of it as being like a drag, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a drag center looking. Yeah. But from what you described, it pretty much is that.
So a lot of, to two questions. One, about my drag sister, Jasmine. We have an amazing drag family, and we really are in each other's courts, no matter what we're doing, whether it be Drag Race or when she was on tour or whatever it is, we're all helping one another. The best advice she gave me going into the show was to be yourself and have fun, which sounds like such an easy piece of advice. So many people say that that's what the advice they give. But when you're there, you kind of forget that to have fun. You're in a competition. So sometimes you forget that drag is fun, and while we're doing it, we still have to remember that, we have to have, good energy, and remember that, it's cutthroat, but it's also, we do this at the end of the day for fun. So I'm dressed up in all this, sitting at home on my couch. And then the second question, you talked about the drag scene in New Jersey. So you'd be surprised how much drag there is in New Jersey, because we're so close to New York and Philly, which are two mega cities. So a lot of girls that don't even that perform a lot in those cities don't even live in them cities. They just drive in and out, you know what I mean? Or travel in and out. So it kind of all bleeds into one another, the tri-state area, I would say. And then especially where I am down at the shore, Asbury Park has such a huge drag scene, and it can be very competitive as well.
Yeah. Amazing. And Hormona, for you, I feel like in the era of the chronically online Drag Race fandom, I think you're the contestant that has so much lore going into the show, because everyone already knows that you met RuPaul on the book tour stop, of course. And, we've always seen the tweets, the photo and everything. What was it like for you, I guess, not only to go into the season knowing that you kind of have that as a backstory, but also now that, you're promoting the season, getting ready to see it on air, that people already knew of you from this social media moment prior to the season even beginning?
It was definitely exciting. I consider myself a little bit of a troll sometimes. So whenever I'm leading up to it, I kept telling people I was going to South America to get a BBL. And then I came back and my ass is still flat. So then I'm like, it was not successful. So it was really a lot of fun, to kind of play with that. And I think just the anticipation of me being on in a very iconic way, if I do say so myself, was really special to me, because at the same time, I kind of feel like I chose myself, because I think that it's easy to just cross your fingers and hope something happens. But it's I'm going to do X, Y, and Z to get myself to this place, and nobody's going to tell me no. And nobody told me no, so here I am.
Yeah, here you are.
Hormona's like the Charlie in the Chocolate Factory. She's got the golden ticket.
So it was so crazy too, because it was at the Tabernacle in Atlanta, and they had to have security come and get me to get me outside, because everybody in there, they were trying to take photos with me and saying they love me. I'm like, you don't know me, but I love you too. So it was really fun. But then after that, I went to eat Mexican food and drag, so that was exciting. But that's hard.
Love that. Love that. And lastly, if I could just go, we just go around the Zoom. If each person can just give me one word to describe season 17 of Drag Race and why. If you, without spoilers, why? But if you end up spoiling, then don't say. But just one word to describe the season.
I would say insane.
Oh, she stole my word. Okay, Jules, you go. I'm thinking.
I would say fierce because the girls queen off.
Okay, good one.
I'm excited.
Say twisty because you don't know what to expect.
It was twisted. It was very twisted.
I am interested in the.
My Google Home is talking to me.
Your Google Home was like, "You ready for a twist?"
Yeah, she said, "Here,
I wanted a twist.
no, I'm a twist. Eh? Let's get sickening. Come on, season 17."
Well, thank you three so much for chatting with me. I really enjoyed this. Congrats again in advance on the launch of the season, and I cannot wait to see the season play out. And hope you all enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you,
Kori. I'll start with you first. How do you think the Boston drag scene prepare you for Drag Race? Because it's so interesting to me that when I read that you'd only been doing drag for about 2 years, because I feel like I've seen you and your name so much. Like it was giving she was already a legend. So I'm like 2 years.
Yeah, well, I've always been doing social media for so long, but I didn't start drag for 2 years. But the Boston community, it's the mecca of tough love. We will never give each other a compliment. Compliments are not real, and that's how we run. Like if someone walks in, you'll walk in and be like, "Let me see your hands, baby." No nails. That's what I thought, and that's how you introduce yourself. So I feel like the whole part of Boston being super, super tough on each other really forces you to progress super quickly.
Gotcha. And Onya, for you, first of all, this hair is giving. I just can't keep saying this hair is just it's giving right now. I love it.
Thank you.
You have instantly one of the most iconic pun. There's a lot of pun names on this season of Drag Race specifically, but everyone on Twitter keeps talking about Onya Nurve all the time. Like that's so clever. But if I'm not mistaken, you're the first queen since season 1 to be from Cleveland.
That is correct.
So what does it mean for you for it to be 16 seasons in between to be on Drag Race and being able to represent Cleveland in this way?
It's a big deal. I'm a huge fan of the show, so I know Acacia from RuPaul's Drag Race first and, from the community after. So it was pretty gaggy meeting her and becoming a friend to her. And, I've only been it'll be 4 years next year of doing drag. And, it is an honor, honestly. I feel like the auntie of Cleveland, the mother of Cleveland, and it is nice to have that weight on my shoulders because I wouldn't want any other girl to have it. You know what I'm saying?
I love that. And Joella, for you, every preseason interviews, I always love to ask queens a lot of times, what's something that you think you surprised yourself about when going on a drag race? So it was something that you thought you knew about yourself and your drag going in, and the competition totally changed your mindset about how you perceived such things.
I would say that, it definitely changed my perspective on a couple things in life. And I feel like that, I don't know, you're just going to have to watch to see.
You're like, I can't give away too many details. You're like, let me keep it a little bit demure. But no, I think that one thing that a lot of people have always said that surprises them about Drag Race is that how cold the workroom is. So is the workroom as cold as people say it is?
Yes, it is. It's so cold in there.
Is it?
I love it. Yes and no.
Yeah, it's needed though. It's needed.
It's not as cold as I thought it was gonna be, bitch. When I walked out, it was gonna be like a meat locker, and I was gonna my breath. And it's like it's chilly, but it's not like freezer.
Okay. So your expectations were high. So when you got there, okay, oh, it's not as cold as I thought it would.
Bada bing, bada boom.
It's almost like, you know how when you first get to the gym and you're like, oh, it's cold in here. But once you start like moving around, it's like, it's hot in here. And where did the air conditioning go? That's kind of what it gives. So for me, it was both where I was like, I need some air, or I was like, I need a jacket on. So, kind of both.
And last question, we could go like Onya, Kori, then Joella. Take me back to the moment of which you were on the main stage for the first time and you realized that you were being critiqued by RuPaul and Michelle and the judges. What was that moment like? Was that moment surreal for you? Was it like anything you thought it would be? Take me back to that moment for all of you, which you realized like, wow, I'm actually on Drag Race.
I really don't know what that moment was, specifically. I think it's when you're out there and the lights are shining and it's so bright, and then you're looking at the judges panel and it looks exactly how it looked on the screen. But you're like, I almost felt like I was inside the TV. You know what I mean? Where I was like that in that scene in Willy Wonka where he was inside the TV. It's very much like that. And you're kind of just like, you take moments throughout the process like, oh my God, like I'm actually like doing the thing that I've been looking at for like X amount of seasons. So it's not one moment specifically, but there are moments where you're just like realizing that you're actually here,
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, the moment where I was like, oh my God, I'm like on Drag Race was when I was in the workroom and I was walking to one of the mirrors and like under my foot, I felt like one of the panels like go like this. And I was like, oh my God, like I'm on a set and this is all. And like, it's, I'm on Drag Race. And that's when it really felt real because everything was such a fever dream.
Yeah. I always forget that sometimes that it's actually a set. I don't know why sometimes on TV or watch you think that you're actually like walking into a room and the rest of the room looks like that and it's covered when it's actually like on a lot. That's so interesting to me. But
I was gonna say, I was like, it doesn't feel, you have like this preconceived notion of how it's going to look and how it's going to feel. So when you actually do like walk into the room, it almost kind of like it like breaks the fourth wall in a way. You're like, oh, okay, this is not as scary as I thought it was gonna be. I'm like, there's no ceiling. The walls move in the winds. You know what I mean? It's just like there's camera people everywhere. So it's like it doesn't really like there's no like even like on the show there's like underscoring and music. There's no music and just in dead silence yelling at people. You know what I mean? So it's just like it's not as scary as it is watching it on the show. It's much more relaxing in person.
Yeah, you don't have the little snake noises in the background as someone says something in the workroom.
Oh, when someone says that, you're like, oh, they're gonna add that good music.
You're like the inner producer jumps up, like, okay, I know what they're gonna do in this moment.
I'm like, oh, it's gonna be good.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me. I enjoyed this. Can't wait to see the rest of the season. And congrats again on season 17.
Thank you, Trey.
Bye.